Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. It's Saturday, and what does Saturday mean? Saturday means, well, it's album review day on the channel. So, our brand new album release reviews, even though we're kind of ending the year, there's a couple left to talk about, as well as I could go back for months and months and months of those that I never got to and do them for the next 2 years. Yes, 1,000 releases this year. It's way too many. It's ridiculous. Well, we'll talk about that some other day. Today, as promised, it's Peter Gabriel's I.O., Econoline Crush, When the Devil Drives, and Beirut's Hadsel. But before we engage in the reviews and two additional albums at the end, the reason we're here is to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to share the audio experience. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and that way I won't have to hunt you down and gut you like a fish. It's obvious to help our channel and meet other musical, music multiverse listeners out there like yourself. Joining me today for Album Review Saturday, special guest, Deb Armitage Hicks Maloney.
Hello.
As she partook of the light and dark of Peter Gabriel's I.O. Now, my review is on the article section of Beyond Your Radio, but to give you more context for this progressive solo record, it's the first record of Peter Gabriel's new material in 20 years. Not only has he crafted an incredible album, but he couldn't decide whether he liked one mix or the other. So he decided to give us both, which I don't disagree with. What I did disagree with was him releasing each song each month since the beginning of the year. I didn't agree, and I didn't partake. I did notice that some people started to talk about that song and like, I don't know. But I think in the context of an album, it changes everything in order, but we'll talk about that. So let's talk about how this came to be. He had 130 songs since his last record, Up. And so we've been waiting a long time to partake of something of this nature. And I think it's, was it worth the wait, right?
You put your hand up, you make your bid. You got your pictures all laid out on the grid. Dug in the garden in the softest ground. Buried everything that you never want found. And the cold will rise while the pillars all fall.
So I.O., it's off to Deb we go.
That's great. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. I have to say, this was really enjoyable. I've spent my whole entire day listening to this album. I can't remember a time in my formative musical years that I can't pinpoint. I can't pinpoint a time where Peter Gabriel wasn't in my ear, or that I didn't have at least a frame of reference for him, whether it was with old Genesis or his then solo career. And I can say that my kids definitely have had him in their ear since they were born, because every night I played different lullabies for them in Salisbury Hill every single night, my kids. He's definitely a poet. I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, besides that, because I love literature and I like dissecting words, and I was always good at that. Lyrics have been something that I don't normally look at when I'm trying to listen to music, because it draws my attention away from the instrumentation. But that being said, this album, I decided to listen to it without any reviews in my head from any external person other than you telling me, Mark, that it was incredible. I also decided to listen to all the music with the lyrics, which I normally don't do because like I said,
Yeah.
and I did it without looking for any comparisons to anybody else, because there is no comparison to Peter Gabriel, as far as I'm
This is
concerned.
very true. I honestly believe he is a one of a kind. He's unduplicatable. Sort of like a Sting in that regard, of certain things, right?
Yes, exactly. So he had an influence in my life because when he came out with his self-titled first solo album and started singing about things like apartheid and and that song Biko, I mean, it raised
Yeah.
social awareness for me as a 17-year-old that I didn't have. Cultural awareness, social awareness, and that became one of the things that I connect to him through is just how he looks at the rest of the world and doesn't take his success and what he was born into for granted and looks to help people outwardly. He even mentions, a couple things in this album as well. Um, so this album, I I can't say enough about it. I love it. I will listen to it again tomorrow. It was very emotional for me, though.
Hmm.
I found it to be reflective as he has entered into his 70s. And I saw a lot of him looking back on life, life lessons, learn to forgive, all that. So I cried a lot. And I had to, as I told you, I put Will Ferrell on just about an hour before coming to this review. So I wouldn't sit
That's
here and
Peter
cry.
Gabriel's kryptonite is Will Ferrell.
Yeah, really. So I have to say, going back to him being an influence, Olive Tree, that song, the horns kicked in, and I went, oh, damn it. There's Dave Matthews. And then I went, oh, I'm so silly. Dave Matthews is influenced by Peter Gabriel.
Right.
Right. So that kind of set me back and I went, yep, I was right there. He has been influenced by himself. I feel in this album,
Hmm.
he takes who he has been, and he's done this his whole career and evolved through himself and grows and grows and grows. He knows what he's good at and he knows what his weaknesses are. And I think he's embraced that in his career. And one of the songs that I felt that was Road to Joy. I could feel Sledgehammer in there a little bit.
There were melodies and things that had me thinking, that and digging in the dirt came up of several times in
Yes.
one of the songs. I'm like, oh, that's the melody of it. It's almost like a past reflection, but then like it is in and out. What he took in, now he's getting out, right? And I have
Exactly.
there were people who, and I didn't read a lot of articles. All I did was see headings and
Mhm.
of people that were gonna do their YouTube, and they had some of the same, right? That was the thing, right? When I saw that on the bottom, I went, mm, I kind of thought that way between So and the record after that. So I was like, oh, maybe. I mean, hey, he has a signature sound. It's
Right.
very hard to take that away.
Mhm.
It is his. And but when I heard the record, I'm like, no, no, this is not the same, not even close. This
Mhm.
this record is completely dynamic. It's detailed more than any record he's ever produced, I think.
Mhm. Lots of
There's a
layers.
Yes, lots of layers. So yeah, I got that. But I think sometimes as an artist, maybe they need a comfort, right? They want to go, okay, I know I'm in the right place. Get me back to where I was after the 130 takes that we're doing here. Let's add this melody. I know it sounds a little, but I'm comfortable with it. I can,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
that's what I got out of that. And then I one of the songs, well, obviously I listened to all these songs now like almost four times because I started it back again. And what I did was I listened to the bright first, I listened to the dark side second, and then I toggled back and forth. So I listened to the first song on the bright side and then the first song on the dark side and tried to listen to it. And my ear isn't as trained as yours, but once I stopped and listened to measures a little bit more, I listened to the measure on the bright side track and then a few measures on the dark side track, I could definitely tell the difference. But if you listen to the whole song or the whole side, then go to the dark side, unless you know those songs by heart, I couldn't tell that it was mixed differently. So
Okay,
that's how I had to do it.
all right. So that's interesting. So let me ask you the big question then, right? It is when you listen to it, how were you listening to it? What medium were you using?
I had it on my big screen TV.
Okay, so stereo somewhat, but
Kind, yeah,
not that fantastic, right? Okay,
correct.
so I listen to in the
Mm-hmm.
earbuds, okay? I am going to tell you that I believe if you would have listened to it that way, the minute the dark side starts, the dark mixes, it's not the dark side, this isn't Star Wars. You can tell, and it doesn't matter even about the measure. It's just the way it's produced,
Got
right?
it.
The way it's mixed.
And that makes sense.
It has an edge to it a little bit. And then again, I've only done each twice and one a third. But the reason I did the one a third, I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, so yeah, I would imagine the way you listen to it, that's like,
That makes sense.
it's like my children who say, oh, that movie wasn't that good. Well, they watched it on their phone. You can't watch Gravity on your phone.
That's
You're
correct.
gonna lose, but I get it. That's what you had, right? And
Right.
it's sort of like, Beyond Your Radio headphones should be given to all panelists, and and you have to have, right? But then again,
Absolutely.
it wrecks your hair. So, you're
Because look at, I worked so hard on it. No, but that's a great point. And I'm not big in my earbuds and stuff. I've never liked that. That's just, and
Mhm.
I don't even know if we had headphones when I was first born. So I don't know if they were invented, but
Yes, because I have my picture as a young kid listening to one of my dad's records, and I had
those
those
giant ones.
enormous headphones, right? So
Gizmo.
much that it had the cord, right? The
Oh yeah,
bungee cord thing.
yeah.
If I walked away, it would whip me back if it didn't stick to my head, right? So
Okay,
yeah.
let's get some of those. That would be fun. The only thing else that I can say as far as the songs individually, and we know we're not going to delve so much into those types of details, but there was one song that I did hear a little bit of somebody else in there, and it was, oh, did I write it down? Oh, I can't remember which song it was, but you could hear a little bit of Nine Inch Nails Hurt, but Johnny Cash's version, it was more of Gabriel's voice in it. And
Mhm.
I didn't catch it till like the fourth time. I kept listening and I go, what is that? What that's reminding me of something. And it was very like this haunting, you know how Johnny did that song. I mean, just haunting and slow. And it was near the
Yeah,
closer
I
to the
want to say it's the
end.
slow song, right?
Think so.
Is it
I'd have to
Love Can
look
Heal?
it,
See, one of them
it
is okay. One of them is definitely more of a piano ballad type, but it's
mm,
still got all the things going on. And I
yeah.
can't. Honestly, I'm having this thing. What is the name of the song now?
I
Um,
had it in my other
oh,
notes and then I tried to make my notes very
probably Love Can Heal. That's my
maybe
guess.
maybe
But I agree with you. But if you notice, in Trent Reznor, and I was
mhm,
making this point to my daughter driving in the car this morning, talking about where my day is and what I'm going to talk about.
yeah,
Um, Trent Reznor, there's no way he didn't listen to Peter Gabriel. There's no way
I
he
know.
wasn't influenced by Peter
Mhm,
Gabriel. He's a
exactly.
keyboard guy, right? That's what
Yep.
Gabriel is. Now, and like I said to her, I go, Peter Gabriel's no Tony Banks. He's no uh,
Right.
Art Tatum. He makes it do what he wants it to do, right? He's not going to put on a concerto. Maybe he would,
Right.
I don't know. But he can always come on the show and tell me he can. Yeah, right. Um, so yeah, I know, and I felt that way too about it, and I've
Okay.
always felt that way about his live show when I
Yeah.
watch it live. I've never been to a live show of his, but I always felt that way in listening to the live shows or watching them.
I
That
have
he's
gone to
definitely a
one.
Reznor.
So to wrap my part of this up, I think that this album for me to listen to it was really fitting for the holidays. Anybody that wants to like get sentimental or dig deep into what's important, listen to this album, read the lyrics. And he saved the best song for last. My favorite was Live and Let Live, for sure. Resonated with me. Okay, I'm done. I'm gonna start crying. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So on my side, I mean, people have my writings on there, the light and the dark of this, right? Or the bright.
Mhm.
I don't think this is a money grab attempt in any way, shape, or form. I think he was truly amazed by the both, and he thought that both were necessary for the person to take their different impression from it. And maybe you'll enjoy one versus the other. This is a legendary progressive experience that he's been building for his entire career. This album is the best in his repertoire. If you have the greatest hits, maybe you can argue, okay, because he does have when they're put together. I mean, Biko is still a ginormous recording, along with those that pop with So and stuff. But the songs here are uniquely brilliant parts of the whole. They stretch in many musical directions from song to song, and even within the songs themselves, which is a mark of the musician and writer that he is. On our website, on the articles list, do yourself a favor, click it, and realize the monstrosity of people it took to make this record. Manu
Really?
Katché, Brian Eno, all
Really?
kinds of personnel, the orchestras, the what do they call them? Choral musicians,
Yes.
etc. And I found it funny if you're looking through there that Peter Gabriel was involved in the choral too. So maybe he did chorus when he was in high school or something of that nature. So don't give up on chorus if you're in high school and you think,
There
oh
you
my God,
go.
this is for me. Keep with it
Who
if that's what
knows?
you're gonna do. You know, flute, tuba, tenor, trombone, I don't even know what a tenor trombone is versus a bass trombone. I'm just, it's crazy to me what all went into this. And I was expecting, okay, so what I liken this to a motion picture, yes, let me motion picture you what to expect. You saw Top Gun, the original, you love Top Gun, you can't, and you heard they were making they're doing Maverick, and you're like, oh my God, how many years later, oh, this is gonna suck. And the actuality is that Maverick was ridiculously good and probably the best movie of that year. But obviously, Oscars aren't going to give an action film anything of that nature. Here is again where you like lowered expectations, kind of, like this guy is 70 plus years old. How can he do this? Holy crap, yes, he can. This is one
Especially
of the best.
after, we have to, so sad to watch Phil Collins up on stage and you're
Mhm.
thinking, okay, they're the same generation. And I have to
Yep.
say that I am finally not totally angry at Peter Gabriel leaving Genesis, but they all did okay.
That's yeah, they all did really well, right?
Yeah, they did.
So I will leave it with this. This past Thursday, we had a show, or we recorded on Thursday for Friday, called 5 Songs We Can't Live Without. And I made mention in that show that
Yes,
there
you
was a
did.
song I just heard that I would consider putting in that list. And that song is from this record, and it's called 4 Kinds of Horses.
Brilliant haze, here is all your money. There is the load. This is how you travel if you live to see the world explode. I just say something different, but you do it all again.
Okay? 4 kinds of horses, 4 kinds of men. Are you saying something different, but you do it all again? 4 kinds of horses, 4 kinds of men. You think you're something different, but you do it all again, again and again and again. So it's a brilliant song, but the album is just as brilliant all the way through. So
Thanks
little
for
longer review
inviting
than
me.
Oh, you're welcome. Now to step into number 2, which is a completely different album than number 1. This is Canada's Econoline Crush and their new album, When the Devil Drives. Now, if you're not familiar with Econoline Crush came about in the mid-90s during the Canadian invasion. We call it that in upstate New York because that's technically what they were doing. They were coming across the border and shoveling their music upon us, and we sucked it down, man. It was excellent. We, Tea Party, Tragically Hip, all these guys. And Econoline Crush was in that mix, maybe toward the middle. And they had a more industrial type of sound. And they had this like piss and vinegar kind of mojo going on. But the lead singer, Trevor Hurst, had a lead singer type of persona and a delivery that worked really well within this industrial rock pop that they were spewing. And whether what was it, like When the Devil Drives, so many years later this is, and you're still driven by Hurst. And whether he's the devil or not, I don't know. I would think not, because his profession, actually, he's a nurse in a place, and that's what he does as a job. And that was in one of the interviews, articles. There was only one. This album's been out, and no one's reviewing. No one's talking about it. It's weird to me in this day and age. So my buddy Jeff from the show calls up and he says, "Yeah, Econoline Crush have a new record out?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I should know, shouldn't I?" And I look at him, wow, right? So this album kind of gives me that feel of something that was eating away at me in the past. I honestly think that Trevor Hurst, his vocal and his style on this record, still got the rock, still got that industrial, but I'm feeling completely and utterly like INXS at a heavier pop rock industrial level. The industrial is now into a groove instead. And you really get that on a particular recording that it's called Smashing Optimism. So I'll play that so you get an idea.
Smash optimism, I only wish you were listening. I think I know who you are. I smash optimism, mostly I'm inconsistent. Sometimes I go way too far. Come on now, show me something. Come on now, heal this heartache.
But that gives us all that feel that the groove and rock and pop riff, noticeably have won out on this record. And I know that it's been 13 years or something like that since the last record. So it was good to see them back. I know that he lost one of the recording guys that he does most of the guitar work with, and that's sad. But I truly respect the fact that he's lived his life, still doing his day job, and has managed to do this. Now, while the album has been hardly reviewed in the music multiverse, it's definitely welcomed into our 2023 listening house, especially with our love of Canadian rock. Mr. Hurst can drive my car at any time, and my radio as well. Next up, Beirut is the name of the band. No, they're not from Beirut.
Oh, good.
They're from America. They're an American. They're, I don't know, indie rock
Okay,
band.
that's
Indie
quite
rock band,
immense.
right? Okay. And Hetzel. They're not from Hetzel, right? And it's not Hetzel's in Norwegian term, right?
Yeah.
So apparently some of this came from him being in that town and writing this, okay? And he plays most of it on I'm gonna miss out, right? Come on, Mark. When you go to it, it's a Hetzel organ. It's a type of organ
Really?
made probably in Norwegian territory or something of that nature. Thought that was interesting. It's a heavy organ rock kind of record. It's really well done. I'm going to be doing a different kind of show during people's showcasing their favorite albums. And of course, I'm doing mine for the show for Beyond Your Radio every day. While this album does not make it on that list, it does have a certain place in in this year, and I'm calling it the Odderary Mentions, the oddball records. You know that
I like that.
you like that?
Is
Yeah.
there
So
another band that you would liken it to? I mean, you said heavy organ is not like, remember how ELP was very theatrical
no,
with
this
their
is very
keyboards?
indie
It's
rock.
different.
It's subtle, more subtle than so so it's the sixth studio album from them. I want to say it's an island. Okay, that's what it was, an island. So this Zach Condon traveled there after canceling part of the band's 2019 tour. So it's how would you categorize this? Let's see what other people were making a mention of. It sounds like the old times, a record born of despair and solitude that still feels full of life. Seems to tremble on the brink of revelation. Songs are delivered with Condon's typical layered touch, his voice of yearning and ethereal as usual. Yeah, I guess that's what they're saying. There's some new ideas along with that aforementioned organ, which is Hadsel Church's organ. He was permitted to use it during, and yes. So it's a slightly subdued record. It has a very, I liken to a little bit of Coldplay. At the old engine.
Got it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Very melodic, and making you think and being slow about delivering it, not being overly produced either. So it's 12 tracks. And I really thought it was a really good listen and something I wasn't ready to pull out of the 893 that I actually wrote down. No, 833. So that's those are good. So,
great.
The extra two that I'm throwing on that are not on the website are kind of in the wheelhouse of standard radio, and then one is not. So I'm going to give you three. I was only going to do two, but I thought, well, let's start with the one that everybody knows. All right, that's Busta Rhymes, Blockbuster.
Really, Busta? What?
Yeah, Busta's following up his previous record with this one, and it's still in the wheelhouse, still having fun. Yes, it's a swear fest, but he's still bringing it. I can't remember how old he is now. He's got to be in his late 50s, early 60s. Sure. I would think, right?
Yeah, he's got to be my age.
Yeah, but still has a great production value to it. The previous record was a follow-up on the Extinction Level event, which kind of sent him to that stratosphere. Mm-hmm. But this has some guests, as you would expect, but fun little rap record basically, and some surprises here and there, but nothing that you haven't heard before. Then I'll take you to James Blunt's new record. Okay, that one, Who We Used to Be. And the minute I heard that, I'm like, I think it's going to be a little sentimental, right?
Yeah.
No, I think I took this a different way. All right. To have a little fun. So I'm thinking I liked who he used to be. I don't like that which he is right now. Which to me, no, I honestly think he has a different kind of voice, right? He's got a what do you want to call it? Vibrato, maybe.
I knew you were looking for that word. I was going to say vibrato, but I don't know the guy, and I didn't want to just go into your brain and tell you what to say.
So he's, and that was what made him distinctive for me. But on Who He Used to Be, this becomes a dance pop driven, like the music is driving it rather than his voice. He's more speaking than he is singing and using that at all, which is kind of interesting. I'll make a side note here that Belinda Carlisle had an EP this year, and there's no vibrato in the entire record. which I'm thinking did they take it out because normally she can't sing without being that way. So I don't know whether they can
Maybe.
remove it. I'm sure it's just odd to me. It
Mhm.
sounds like him to some degree, but it's just more dance oriented and
So instead of
throughout
instead of the words flowing, the words are just,
being driven by the beat.
Yep.
There you go. That's exactly. Now, see, this is why I should be on every Saturday because I don't have to read from a script.
and I think you were looking
So
for falsetta as the
I
word
will
besides.
tell you this though, there is a song on this record that's probably one of the most disturbing songs written this year.
So goodbye to my best friend ever. I can't believe you're gone forever. Came up to find you today, 'cause I finally found all the words that I needed to say. But a dark thought got there first.
It is called Dark Thought. Heavy,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
delivered in this mix that is not right to me.
That's strange.
Horrific.
Something very personal, I would think.
Yes, and talks about carving out a Hollywood Walk of Fame. So I'm assuming it's somebody in that vein that he knew.
Yeah.
Not
Definitely.
quite sure where and when it came from, but I think someone, I think, well, I can't draw a heart, so I drew you a star on the Hollywood Boulevard. They buried your ashes in a Prozac pill. This is a very dark song amidst
Yeah.
this, and I think if a production people are sitting around going, this doesn't fit. This is kind of all over the place. You got this Madonna dance record going on with your vocal, and it didn't work for me in that vein. But this song sticks out, so that's another reason why I do these shows, so I can point those things out to you people in that vein, right? So
Yep.
the final record of the night is Pattern Seeking Animals. That's the name of the band. Okay, so you hear that, right? You don't know anything about them. What kind of music?
No.
What do you think?
Well, I would have thought it was like some kind of screaming punk stuff.
Okay, this is a progressive rock band.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Correct. Don't. Right. And I honestly think they had a little bit of shades of Incubus too going on with the song and stuff, kind of connected, the vocal kind of thing. This is my first experience with Pattern Seeking Animals. The new album is called Spooky Action at a Distance. Pretty cool cover. Got a guy looking through a huge scope, and he's seeing this weird world. It's got a progressive kind of cover. There's a lot of intricate flute and stuff. So like in this, to a very young Jethro Tull, where the vocal hasn't gotten that strange. And horn, saxophone coming in, which really kicks it up a notch. Really good record. One of those honorable mentions, maybe, coming along, right?
Nice.
So I want to thank Dan for doing the Peter Gabriel I.O. with me.
My pleasure.
And so today reviewed Peter Gabriel's I.O. We did Counterline Crush's new When the Devil Drives, Beirut, Hadsel, which I think people would really enjoy on a contemporary level, in indie. Also did Busta Rhymes, Blockbuster, James Blunt's Who We Used to Be, and Spooky Action at a Distance from progressive rockers extraordinaire, we'll call the Pattern Seeking Animals. As always, we're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com. Please like, comment, tell us what you've been listening to, what you think of these records, especially the Peter Gabriel record. I hot guarantee when it comes to the end of the year, it's going to be on somebody's list, if not everybody's list. So, as always, thanks for watching and happy listening.